We got some more. Okay, here's one. Good morning, radio family. This is the problem with our current day politicians. They always want to sweep things under the rugs as to the actual conditions of the people, particularly when reports reflect negatively on their government. We cannot expect a government to fix every problem in the country, but poverty is an area that must be seriously addressed. Poverty do exist in St. Vincent and the Grenadines on a larger scale than we would want to acknowledge. But trying to elude the fact that the poverty exists in SVG is never a good approach for any administration to take. When this happens, it shows how out of touch they are with the realities of its people. Our politicians need to go beyond the time of campaigning to go out and meet the people. They need to do so on a consistent basis to get a real picture of what is taking place in their communities instead of having to refuge poverty assessment reports. You want to take a little at it?
Well, I just to say, well, we had a bit of a discussion on it already. But just to say here that there's no denying on my part about the existence of poverty in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Maybe it's a question of the extent, and I want us to have an informed discussion on the extent on the basis.
So wait on the report.
I think a report would be helpful in that respect.
All right. But something about the report. The report, when it comes, would be reflective of present-day poverty or poverty from about 4 or 5 years ago.
Well,
wouldn't that in itself be a problem?
Well, I'm not sure how it will be done. I mean, again, that may be an area of speculation. But, whatever the findings of the report, we could at least make certain conclusions on the basis of those findings until we get more information.
Right.
And as I'm saying, we also have to read that or look at any such report in conjunction with other information that we might have on the economic. In fact, one of the things that I have on my agenda, and my agenda is a long agenda, but I don't know when I'll get around to some of the items, is to do some presentations, some public presentations on different topics. And one of the topics that I hope to explore is the state of the economy. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
That is coming from a non-political perspective.
From a non-political perspective, as I say, through Lightel Foundation, through Impact, as the case might be. Okay. I want to do a series of presentations. Some of the topics I've already thought about. I need to flesh out some of them some more. But one of the top priority ones is a reflection on the state of the economy. Okay. And in fact, I think there's a little bit of an inspiration from the whole concept or idea of the State of the Union, which is delivered by the President of the United States. So maybe it is not meant to be a sort of a one-off exercise, but could be an ongoing commentary that maybe illuminates certain particular areas within the framework of such a presentation, or it might even be a series of presentations. You could maybe make a special study of matters concerning the impact of COVID-19 on tourism, for instance, because I am really concerned about the impact it has had on tourism and all related industries. I am concerned about what it has meant for flying. I mean, flying is like a rarity among the Vincentian population these days. I know some persons may generally not fly a lot, but there has been such a dramatic reduction in travel that we could see that it must tell us about the adverse implications of that for the industry and everything that relies on the industry. Right now, if I am planning to go to Barbados, for instance, I have to start thinking about when there might be available flights, if they're going to be flights on certain days of the week. I mean, for a long time, we couldn't have gone to Trinidad and Tobago. I think they're now opening up for passengers and so on.
Vaccinated people.
We can't come if you're unvaccinated. And fair enough, if that is the policy they see to be in their best interest, fair enough. People must pursue what they consider to be right and proper. I mean, and I don't mind them taking that position. What I wouldn't want is for there to be onerous and burdensome restrictions on people who are vaccinated. Because they have already taken that quote unquote leap of faith, if you will. They have trusted the science and all that the science has produced. And I mean, I am with the president of France in spirit when he says that vaccinated people must be given freedoms commensurate with their decision to take that step. So, but even in respect of Trinidad right now, what I was saying is that you could have gone to Trinidad any day of the week, several times a day before. But that's not the case now. You know, there's so much.
But I want to come back to the vaccine. Let's get out some more of the responses.
Okay. Before you go forward with that,
furious.
there's a question that I want to ask pertaining to what you just said. You know, it just gone out my mind.
Vaccine?
No, it wasn't vaccine.
Okay. All right,
Until it comes back, like it literally just
and
left me,
heard,
man.
Wait, no, I need
Luke
to...
speaking. I just jumped in and heard Luke speaking about reasons why we don't excel in sports. The only reason we don't excel in sports in the Caribbean and in St. Vincent in particular is because we're not educated. We don't understand that sports, any sport, is a job. In these countries, when people take up football, football is their job. They don't have to go work in the farm and then go play some football in the evening, you understand? It's a full-time job. We need to educate the nation and let the kids know that this is a job. You can be making millions from this. And we need to put infrastructures in place so that they can get paid to do these things back home. So blaming poverty, nah, I don't see it.
No, I think he makes an important point. I mean, I don't agree with him about the way in which he seeks to dismiss, you know, the impact of poverty. Because the truth is, if you do not have the opportunity or the ability to even catch a van to go to a cricket session or a training session for cricket and football as a young person coming up, that is going to have an impact. If you don't have an opportunity to live the opportunity to live a certain lifestyle and to maybe have access to supplements and equipment and gears and so on, that is going to have a bearing
And
on
some
your
of these
fortune.
things are very basic and upfront.
But he does make a point, however, about the fact that we need to have a mindset that this is your job. You know, I see there was the point being made about the need for us to have lights and so on and invest in lights so that after work, you know, you could go and have a sweat and so on. But that betrays, and as much as that is desirable, that betrays the fact that we need to see it as a life, as a job. You know, that is our occupation.
Saying, to go and get a sweat after work. We need to get rid of that mindset.
Exactly. Yeah? This is a serious pursuit.
Well, I agree with that. There are some people who want to do it for recreation.
For recreation and physical activity.
Should we really just...
I agree with the lighting.
But I'm saying, don't just end it there.
And precisely. And then the other thing is too, I mean, and this is not even too much to treat it as a job, but to take it seriously enough. I see, like, in football...
Just stick up in, let's take this call. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Fuji. Good morning, Crystal. And good morning to your guest, Luke.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, morning.
I've been listening, and Luke spoke about persons who took the vaccine and that these persons should be afforded privileges. Do you, Luke, believe in persons' autonomy over their body and freedom of choice and democracy?
Well, I believe that the vaccine is safe. I mean, I don't want to get into any sophisticated philosophical discussion about those issues. I believe the vaccine is safe. I took the vaccine. I'm fully vaccinated, and I will encourage persons to do the same thing. I'm not interested in any attempt to shove a vaccine down your throat, but the point is, I think that it is safe. And I just want to let my example speak for itself in respect to the...
What you are advocating is vaccine discrimination. You are advocating where the state discriminates against individuals because they have exercised their constitutional right to make a choice.
You're not in a position to determine what I'm advocating. You know, what are you saying in respect of the policy by the Prime Minister or the government of Trinidad and Tobago that only vaccinated persons would be able to enter that country? I mean, is that discrimination in the way that you're looking at it? There have been stipulations
It is
in many different ways. When it was a question of yellow fever or other issues, there have been stipulations that, have guided the way in which persons or governments function. And I think that is fair enough.
But when it comes to an individual's right to choose and an individual's right to decide what goes into their body, are we going to then say that women shouldn't have the right to choose whether or not they want to have abortion or any other thing?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why you would reach from what I said.
A right to choose.
But in all fairness, Carla, I mean, that is Luke's opinion. That is how he sees it. Absolutely nothing is wrong with that.
But apart from that, I repeat, I am not advocating that persons that are vaccine, so to speak, be forced down somebody's throat or forced into their arm. Mm-hmm. I am simply saying that it is fair enough if a government wants to say that as a condition for traveling to Trinidad and Tobago, you have to be vaccinated.
So what you're saying is that it is just for governments to discriminate against citizens based on their right to exercise their country. Based on them exercising their
country. But how is it discrimination?
I am simply saying that it is reasonable in all the circumstances for a position like the position taken by the government of Trinidad and Tobago to be taken.
4G, it is discrimination. Okay.
But how?
Australia. Okay, some governments like Australia even refuse to accept their own citizens back into Australia. Mm-hmm. No,
based on what?
Based
when
on
there was
them,
a spike
traveling to places that are seen as high risk. So if a country then adopts such measure where they're refusing to accept their citizens, and then the country that the citizen is in decides, I don't want you here, what happens to that citizen?
What happened in that situation?
No, I'm asking the question, what would happen to that citizen then?
Well, the country is solely responsible for their citizens at the end of the day.
But
they refuse their citizens based on what?
On the fact that they're in areas, they've traveled to areas that are considered to be high risk.
Well, I don't think it was a question of an out-and-out refusal of their citizens. I believe that there were certain requirements of citizens who were in particular areas who wanted to return home. But just to put things in sharp relief, Trinidad closed its borders for a long time. So it was in a position where Trinidadians abroad could not go to Trinidad and Tobago. And Trinidadians in Trinidad and Tobago could not go abroad.
Nobody at all.
So this is not something that, is so distant from our reality.
Mm-hmm. But another thing.
But we kind of like short for time, so we don't want to take too much time dealing with this one particular issue. All right?
Okay, please.
Right. Thank you very much.
But what's funny though is I'm wondering if in the next coming months, a lot of people are going to be talking more about vaccinated children before you go to school. And are they going to say it's discrimination if a parent wants to no longer allow that child to be vaccinated against certain viruses and ailments? Are we going to start talking about that now?
And that is mandatory.
It's mandatory, and we've never have I ever heard of a discussion so heated about that. As compared to COVID.
Good morning, Carla.
Good morning, QG.
Good morning. If you could make it brief for us, please. We kind of running out of time.
I'm going to try to do this very briefly. Mr. Brown, you were Minister of Health or something like that, right?
Minister of Health.
Right. And okay, so I want to ask this. Based on locals that's coming home and passing through Barbados, right? If they are fully vaccinated, does Barbados have the right to tell that person they need to book a hotel in St. Vincent before leaving the country?
I don't agree with that.
Okay, good. But that is a part of the policy that is there, because they're saying now it's the people in St. Vincent said that.
Well, I'm just expressing my opinion on it.
But that's why I'm just asking the question to look from you. Well, if Fuji and Bristol is coming home, they're fully vaccinated. When they reach home, the authorities say should be the one to tell them they need to go in a hotel 2 days quarantine or what it might be the case and what, and they decide from there because they are not a citizen of Barbados, they're coming home, right? So I think that is something that they should look at and put in the right way. Okay. Secondly,
there's more
I'm gonna do in this one. Yeah. We're expecting to have cruise ships in the near future coming back to the Caribbean, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
What is going to happen? Hello?
Go ahead.
What is going to happen with these cruise ships when they come for one day and these people have to come off the cruise ships to mingle with locals and some of them getting into the van so forth. For one day, they didn't even have to get 2 days quarantine or anything.
You make a point.
Is their place going to put something in place that start to look for something now to deal with that? Because this ship just coming for one day. And people are going to be mingling around our locals and so forth in vans on beaches and what and what. What do you think it should be done?
You make a point that crossed my mind. And the truth is, we probably have to get to the place where we say if persons are vaccinated, they could enter the country because they have satisfied what I believe to be the most important public health condition. And you're going to basically otherwise just ruin the potential of cruise tourism. You could ruin the potential of air travel as well, by this simple quarantine measure. So we have to have a conversation about some of those things and how we might review.
Right. So if you are doing that, that's come right back to show you my point. And one and the person coming home.
But remember, I had already
can't have the same thing, although they have the vaccination and everything.
But remember,
okay, Charles, thank you.
All right,
but remember, I had already expressed agreement with him from his earlier point. So there's no inconsistency.
Here's another one.
Good morning, fugitives. Good morning, Jose. Good morning, Crystal.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Special good morning to your guest, Mr. Brown, Luke Brown.
Thank you. Good morning.
Let me just make my contribution to the program as it relates to the works and aspirations of Mr. Brown. Now, I've been following Mr. Brown's project in Longwall via social media since he lost the representation of that constituency. And kudos to him because he rose to that defeat as if it was a victory in the light of not stooping or putting his dead head down, and really have been a beacon for, as far as I'm concerned, for other politicians to emulate. I know his father very well. I didn't even know that it was his son. My wife, solicitor for many, many years. And I just want to encourage him to continue his great work in the community and otherwise, and whatever he embark on, whether he continue in politics, but I certainly think he has a very bright future as a representative for that constituency. Great work, Mr. Brown. Continue. I wish we had many, many more politicians like yourself who can do such works. It would be a great thing for St. Vincent.
It sure will. My final question before we go off to another comment. I know you have to go no, minus 5 minutes.
Let me just say thanks to the caller, by the way. And since my dad was your solicitor for many years, remember I'm going to be at the bar soon. All things being equal.
A shameless plug there. All right, so you mentioned discussions that you think that are important that need to be had. Is one of the reasons because they're not happening now why you want to have those discussions?
Well, maybe I see a void in some of these areas. There's a void in public discourse on many issues. Incidentally, I see that one of the persons, I think his funeral would be today, who contributed to public discussion was Kenneth John.
Yes.
And I'm not sure. Well, I really didn't come along to have the benefit of the lectures that I heard he would have organized in the 1960s and so on. But I just make that point because I think that there's something that could be done in respect of public discussions on a wide range of topics. Topics that I consider to be interesting. And the truth is, I sometimes tackle a lot of these topics for my own education on the subject and for my to have knowledge and information on the point, because the best way to master something, whatever it is to study it.
Okay.
So
Someone says, I like Luke. He was just in the wrong ministry for me, and that's one of the reasons I think contributed to him not winning in the last elections. How do you see it? Do you think that I know Luke don't back down from any challenge, but do you think that being given such a heavy ministry affected you as a candidate, as an area representative?
Well, a couple of things. Perhaps the hardest battles are given to some of the stronger soldiers.
Good one.
So maybe that could have informed the rationale behind my assignment to that ministerial portfolio. But I have to be honest and say that the workload in the Ministry of Health was demanding. And it was demanding at all times generally, and it was very demanding in the election year as well. Because that was that was the time when you were dealing with the coronavirus pandemic. That was the time, when you thought you were basically getting that in order.
Dengue was
you had
around
to,
at
you had
the
to
time?
address dengue. So the workload was heavy. I don't shirk from any task. I put my best foot forward, and I still tried to manage as well as possible.
Yeah.
But it would have
constituency
affected
affairs.
limited the amount of time that you would have or would have wanted to have in your constituency.
It certainly restricted the extent to which I was able to maybe go out in the constituency as much as I wanted to. I mean, I started to develop an organization that still is able to do that with or without my presence. And the organization is still going, and we're hoping to continue to be able to reach people wherever they are, whatever our circumstances, and even with ministries that have a heavy workload.
Look, I want to ask you. I know I said one final question, but I feel like I want to ask you in dialect. I will just find time for all them thing here.
Boy, it's a fight up. But
I don't know, man. Because the amount of things that you list that you have done and you're planning to do, and it's just 24 hours in a day.
Just suffice it to say, I get up by 3 o'clock in the mornings. Every morning and start jamming. And you may know that I incorporate a lot of exercise into the routine. I try to stay physically and mentally fit and equal to the task.
I see you from time to time, yeah.
Well, fugitives just go and sleep at 3 o'clock, so you can't.
If I'm up at 3 o'clock, I'm fighting again. But no, it is the reality. But Luke, as former Minister of Health here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I want to go back to the very beginning of COVID. And I remember we had that conversation right here when you joined us. And I guess at that time, based on the information that we were privy to, coming from the experts and so on, based on what you said to us, we didn't have to worry about COVID coming here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines because of the temperatures being in the tropics and so on and so forth. Fast forward to present day. I know that was based on the information that being a novel virus and all of that. Where are you as it relates to COVID-19? I mean, we've seen the devastation and the grave impact that it has carried out on so many different sectors here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Well, I mean, I don't remember exactly my comments on that occasion, but in terms of what we've seen with COVID, I think that is we accept it as a fact of life, and we just have to concentrate our energies on smart policies. We have to have smart policies surrounding vaccination. We have to have smart policies surrounding travel to see how we could minimize the impact that this is going to have on the health of our nation and also the wealth of our nation from the standpoint of prosperity and economic opportunity.
With the slow uptake of the vaccine, and it is not where we had hoped it would have been. Like, no. I mean, what are your views on it? What do you think can be done differently?
Well, I think we have to redouble our efforts. There's perhaps still the need for ongoing awareness campaigns, maybe one-on-one or maybe in intimate settings where you could, basically persuade persons through through that kind of environment that the vaccine is in their best interest from a health standpoint. The truth is, I don't blame persons for perhaps having a healthy dose of skepticism about something new.
Yeah.
They have to consider all the information that is at their disposal. I think it is emerging more and more that vaccines are safe and that they're an important public health tool. They've been used in the past to stop plagues that almost stopped humanity. When you think about smallpox and all the other things that we were able to push back completely because of vaccines. And when you think that people, take a vaccine without batting an eye or without even thinking about it, or get their children to take it rather for going to school purposes. And there were vaccines that we had to take before, albeit not on the same scale, for travel purposes. You go into some countries, it may have been a yellow fever vaccine, it may have been a malaria vaccine if you're going elsewhere.
Yeah, I did that.
Incidentally, on an off topic, I see that there's some trials in relation to a new HIV vaccine as well. So, but whatever it is, I think that So there's no issue with taking vaccines as such. Perhaps it's the novelty associated with it. Some person say, well, this was super quickly produced and those kind of things. People have to be reassured along those points. But I think that the one of the things which stood out to me from one of my favorite presidents of the United States in his autobiography, Bill Clinton, he said that we have to lead people through instruction and example rather than condemnation and ridicule. I'm not here to condemn persons who may have a different point of view. I would provide instruction as best as possible based on the information that is at my disposal and hope that the power of my example comes to something.
Better informed decisions.
I guess question last one. Incentives. Quick answer. For or against incentives?
Well, if you're talking about the lottery like kind of incentives,
credit and so on.
I don't think I'm really so much in favor of those types of incentives. I think that the incentive of being a good citizen and doing something in the interest of your country and helping to restore economic normalcy and protecting your own health at the end of the day should be incentive enough.
But what happens when that don't work?
Well, if
redoubling efforts in education. Sorry.
No. Okay. Hold on. Let me share a few more quickly. Good morning, Crystal, Fuji, Luke. Good morning. I've listened to you speak several times, and I'm always impressed. Continue the great works. All right. That's coming from Jimmy. Big up Jimmy right there. There's some of them that kind of off target, so I'm trying to avoid some of those ones. Can you ask Luke about that situation with the park and the ladies using the park for exercise, Luke? There's that situation. Somebody wanna know if you mind commenting on it. What happened?
Well, I think I commented upon it. I think it was a matter of a request being lodged with the management committee that is in place for the park for its use. And once that was done, which it was done, I think that the regularization of the use of the park was in place. Look, Fugitive, you know how much that park means to me.
Of course,
I'm not on the management committee.
Back in the days when the
anything.
trailers were there to present Christmas time and all.
It's a vision that brought that into reality. I remember one time you even tried to haul me over the coals a little bit.
That's what I'm talking
when you were
trailers.
elsewhere. Because and when I told you that this was coming, you may have been skeptical, but generally speaking, Fugitive, if I tell you that something is coming, you could put your pot on the fire. I'm going to work hard.
The same coals you try dragging, we could use that to boil it.
It took longer than we expected.
But it was coming.
But it came.
All right.
It came and it came in such a way that we have a beautiful facility that is the envy of the world and that is being utilized now for several different things. It has grown beyond just the Christmas light up and so on. And we have bigger visions in store for there.
That's good.
I mean, if I had
we organization or we ULP?
We as in Luke working in the community and working through government as may be required, working through private organizations as may be required, working through non-governmental organizations as may be required, because that whole mix is reflected there. That whole mix is reflected there. I mean, at the Rosa Recreational Park, since you mentioned it was a private undertaking that we had organized that had topsoil and grass applied there in the first place. You know, these are things which we worked hard. When you may look at a particular channel to get you to a particular point, and then you just strategize on how you get forward. And we have further to go, and I'm happy that there's a facility there available for public use.
Okay, Balan project management boy.
Thank you.
Somebody says one more. I'm running them through. All right, bravo, Luke. I love that last part on the vaccine. The way in which you put it, it's very encouraging. I see one that came in there 4 minutes now. Definitely we're gonna get that. But here's one. I want to squeeze this one in. Somebody says that you didn't win because you're with the wrong party. Why not form your own party?
Well, wrong party, own party.
Wrong party. They say that you're with the wrong party, Luke.
Seem to be interesting. What I could undertake to do is just continue doing my best in the community, because it's obvious that win, lose or draw, I'm going to have to try to uplift the people in the constituency.
And you would walk along with whichever government is in power, whichever party is in power.
Well, I would do my work, notwithstanding which party is in power. but I mean, for a different time, we could elaborate on why I believe the Unity Labour Party is the party of my choice, at least.
Okay, one final one. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, my brother. I just want to say a little thing, and I'm going to be creating,
Take a few seconds. Yes. We way all the time.
Yes. Greetings, my brother, Mr. I know your father a lot. I just want to go on what Fuji just said in terms of being, if you come personally with your own party, people will consider you, because you have to understand that the policies of what is happening with the Unity Labour Party is not workable. And I'm only saying is that I'm saying this to say there are a lot of people right now are not happy with both of the politicians. Your father is a role model to this. I mean, a lot of people might like him, but what I'm saying, what we want is people's power. We want a democracy where people can speak and be critical of other political parties without people losing their work. And I'm begging you, my brother, I'm not going to attack you this morning. Please rethink, bring in a political party with an agenda for people.
Okay.
And I will give you support.
All right. Then.
God bless you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Endorsement there.
Thank you for sparing me the attacks this morning.
Luke, what would you like to leave with us, our listeners? Quite a number of listeners. I mean, the comments are coming in, but we can't share them all.
Yeah.
Because you're out of time.
You have to go.
Well, I appreciate.
I just like to thank you for the opportunity of being in studio again this morning, and for giving me the chance to speak to the Vincentian public. And I think that my actions speak for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
what's next on the agenda for Luke, whether it is by the Light Hill or Impact?
Well, the truth is we're now contemplating a couple additional projects of a similar nature related to restoration of houses. Mm-hmm. You may remember that there were 2 houses in Rockies that were washed away on the 29th of April. Mm-hmm. So we're seeing how we could position ourselves to make an impact there.
All right. I like it. All the best.
All right.
Kudos. Keep
Blessings.
up the great works, my buddy.
Okay.
All right. Good. Former Minister of Health here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, still continuing with his works within the constituency of East Kingstown. Great works being done by him and his respective teams. I want to wish him all the best.
No, nothing more. I appreciate it. I think when we come back, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back with some more responses, because we got a ton load on Facebook that we didn't touch.
Somebody says, I don't understand, how is it Mr. Brown is doing more for the community than the elected representative?
Goodbye.
Hey, let's do this and we come right back.
The wake-up call is the only way to start your mornings. Rise with inspiration. News updates.
A 3-member team from Carriacou.
Debate on topics that matter. And music to jumpstart your morning. The wake-up call.
Good morning.
The wake-up call on X104.3 FM.
Who no know you no go fit